In another time, and in another place, lies the distant and fantastic world of Ch.1, and within, the place of my birth. Dantavish, Jewel of the Sands. A city of kings and conquerors, of men and monsters. My name is General Judah Dante, and it is here that I have forged a privileged life of family, wealth, and status. But there is an evil that stirs from within the heart of the kingdom, a bloodthirsty cult of dark sorcerers known as the Abyssinian Warlocks. They have an iron grip on Dantavish, and no one, not even the king, will challenge their authority. But there's something malevolent on the horizon. Ch.1, demon lord of the fifth realm of the Abyss and patron god of the Abyssinian Warlocks, is planning to bring about a hellish apocalypse. Only I and my motley band of loyal soldiers stand in his way. Together, we must face every type of demon, ghoul, and supernatural fiend if we hope to save our world. For we are the warriors of Ch.1.
The special caravan stretches out almost half a mile and labors in between the unrelenting glare of the Covenant Star and the scorching sands that is the Chthonian wastes. So brutal and unforgiving are these deserts that separate the kingdom of Rendaris and the main city of Dantavish, that it was named directly after Chthon, demon ruler of the ninth realm of the Abyss, which of course is the most nightmarish part of the underworld. Riding his horse at a slow trot, Judah Dante casually wipes a few beads of sweat off his brow. Wearing his standard black armored tunic, turban, and with a long scimitar strapped to his back, the general cuts quite a commanding figure. As he gazes out into the sun-drenched sand dunes, his bright hazel eyes, which are set starkly against his tan complexion, squint slightly as he notices the odd formations of shadows on the desert floor. He breathes in silent jubilation as one corner of his mouth upturns in a grin. Suddenly his concentration is broken as another man, one Gabriellan Sangreal, taps Judah's chest with a rawhide canteen.
What's your whistle, General?
Still staring out into the vastness, Judah grabs the canteen.
Don't mind if I do,
he says, gulping down a few deep waves of water.
Well, as hot as it's been, I'm surprised I haven't gone through more.
Judah takes a deep breath of satisfaction, feeling the cool liquid run down his throat.
Well, thankfully, we've not that much farther to go.
The other man looks at Judah with a slight hint of curiosity.
And just how do you know that?
Look over that ridge, Lieutenant. Tell me what you see.
Gabriellan narrows his eyes and retrieves his collapsible spyglass from within his brown leather armored tunic. Extending its length, the trench lieutenant focuses in on an odd-looking outcropping of stones that stands several yards away. the formation vaguely resembling a giant scorpion-like creature.
Praise be to the one superior Scorpion Rock!
He says as he pulls his eye from the spyglass.
Well, that means we've less than half a day's travel left.
Judah just smiles as he takes another swig from the canteen.
But how in all of Khartoum did you see that way out here?
I didn't. What you have to remember, Gabriel, is that I've spent a long time out here in these deserts. I know how the sands shift and how the shadows move.
Gabriellan shakes his head slightly as he places his spyglass back into his tunic. A mix of amazement and disbelief mingled on his features. Judah just smirks at the man's reaction.
Just give it time, Lieutenant. You'll get there eventually.
Honestly, Judah, now I think you're just showing off.
Echoes a voice from behind as Dimitri Sangrayal, younger brother of Gabriellan, rides up, having heard the dialogue from a few paces back. Judah chuckles heartily at hearing this comment and turns his horse around to face the brothers.
Well, perhaps I am at that, eh, Sergeant? But you do take up the front flank for a bit whilst I make the rounds across the envoy. I don't want anyone fainting this close to the finish, am I right?
He says, tossing the canteen to Dimitri and winking at Gabriellan before riding back into the confines of the caravan.
Great. Now I have to start reading shadows on the floor in order to gain rank.
Dimitri grabs the canteen and unscrews the top.
Could be worse, my brother. You could be almost 31 with no wife, a family, or even a mistress and still sulking about the one that got away. Oh wait, I suppose it couldn't get worse, huh?
He says with a laugh before beginning to gulp down some water. His brother angrily snatches the canteen back mid-gulp, which causes his younger brother to hyperventilate and spit up streams of unswallowed fluid, immediately accompanied by fits of more laughter.
Oh, for goodness, I was joking, Gabe.
Well, at least I don't whore myself out every pretty face and set of eyelashes and all of Dantadish. I mean, for goodness sake, Dimitri, you're bedding down one of the king's harem of all people.
No. Deidre Thierry is one of the royal court dancers. She is not of Marcian's harem.
Says Dimitri in false innocence. Gabriellan then gives his brother a telling stare.
You know what I mean, brother. At any rate, how many more besides Deidre Thierry are there exactly?
Well, let's see. There's Esther, the courtesan seamstress, and I do occasionally have a tryst with Kyra, but she's now engaged to be married. So that's one off the list, I do suppose.
Oh, by the gods, have you no decency?
Says Gabriellan as his horse trots ahead. Dimitri nudges his own horse forward, catching up to his brother.
Look, Gabe, I know you think that no one could ever replace Daria, but if you just come with me for a night out, I'll show you that it's really not that hard to talk to women.
Gabriellan then shoots Dimitri a stern look.
Not another word about Daria. Am I clear, Sergeant?
A dumbfounded grin then crosses Dimitri's lips.
Pulling rank on your own brother?
Ha! You're damn right.
Says the elder brother as he trots further on ahead. Meanwhile, Judah continues his ride along the outside of the linear caravan, giving everyone a quick glance to assess their state of general health, exchanging the occasional nod to some of the riding soldiers. At about midway through the caravan, his horse slows to another soft trot as Judah approaches a particularly heavily guarded part of the envoy. In the center of some of the riding guardsmen sits an elegant and beautiful dark-skinned woman riding atop a woolly black horse. Her hair is adorned in ornate braids and she is wearing a headband trimmed with gold. Around her neck and wrists, she wears ruby-studded bracelets and chains. She looks every bit a regal and distinguished queen. This is Dan-I, reigning monarch of the kingdom of Rendaris. Riding beside her is a heavily muscled black man, his shirtless torso glistening in the hot sun. Crisscrossed along his back are a long wooden bow, accompanied by a quiver of arrows. This is Gideon, Royal Captain of the Guard and Danai's closest advisor.
Good news for you, Monarch. We're closing in on Scorpion Rock, which means we've less than half a day's travel until we reach Dentavish.
The monarch just smiles warmly.
Oh, please, General. I implore you to call me Danai, and I thank you for the report.
Judah just gives a nod of approval as he rides closer.
Well, it's very much appreciated for you to endeavor to take such a journey, Monarch. I mean, Danai, of course. Most rulers in your position wouldn't.
I'm not like most rulers, General Dante. And besides, I wanted to make a gesture of goodwill in my committal to seeing peace brokered between Rendaris and Dantavish. King Marcian obviously wants the same. Otherwise, why would he send his top general and officers to act as ambassadors to my kingdom? I thought it only right to show up in person to his royal court.
Gideon grins as he turns towards Judah.
You'll find, General, that our monarch is not only wise and dutiful, but fair-minded as well.
This causes Danai to smile from ear to ear.
Now, if only the captain's flattery could conjure me up a drink as well as it does compliments, I would indeed be a very happy monarch.
Of course. Jarek, fetch the monarch some water.
The guardsman Jarek immediately pours some of his canteen water into a large wooden ladle and hands it to Danai. She takes the utensil and nods.
Yes, thank you, Jarek.
She says, sipping down the cool water. Jarek nods and bows his head in respect. Judah then starts to ride beside Gideon.
And what of you, my friend? Just how are you bearing up?
Completely parched. Making a 3-day trek across a godforsaken desert and under a blazing hot sun just to make nice with that bratty king of yours? I'd say I'm doing all right, all things considered.
Funny you should mention our bratty king. If that were his only shortfall, I might actually feel better about things.
Oh? Trouble in Dantavian paradise, eh?
Well, not trouble exactly. It's just those damn warlocks. I don't like what they're doing. It seems as if you can't speak any hint of disapproval without being accused of disloyalty to their beloved Tethar. But I will tell you one thing. It most definitely is not the Dantavish of old.
This is met by a nod from Gideon.
I know what you mean. Even as far away as Rendaris, their flamboyant little recruiters occasionally prod the streets. Those Tetharian banners are even starting to pop up. Now, if you ask me, they're nothing but a bunch of dainty and gaudy buffoons.
That's the one thing I miss about you most, Gideon. Your unwavering ability to say exactly what is on your mind. But still, I do appreciate you making the journey, my friend.
Well, it's not as if I had a choice, Judah. I am Royal Captain of the Guard of Rendaris, after all. You think I would leave my monarch to make this journey our own?
He says, glancing over at Danai and smiling. Judah narrows his eyes in light-hearted suspicion before switching to another topic.
I see Malachi is coming along, though.
Judah says, pointing to a young dark-skinned man riding ahead several paces of Danai's guardsmen.
I think he and Adriel would get along just fine. He's just turned 18, correct?
Yes, 3 weeks ago. I've done what I could these past 13 years trying to raise him, but I'm afraid he's got far too much of my sister in him. He's impetuous and extremely hot-tempered.
Oh, what young man isn't? You think that's bad? You should see what I had to go through with Adriel, and he's only my youngest. I had to raise 2 teenage girls before him, don't forget.
Yes, I know, but still. I'm only his uncle. Certainly no substitute for his real father.
Well, for all intent and purposes, you are his father figure, Gideon. Took him in when he was only 5.
I will never forget it. Afri just walks out of the desert one day and shows up at my doorstep, after going missing for over 10 years at that point. In her arms, she holds a crying 5-year-old boy and just keels over dead with no explanation at all. I lost her for the second and final time that day,
says Gideon as he just stares out blankly ahead of him. Judah then rubs the man on the shoulder.
You've done well, my friend. From what I've seen, Malachi has turned out to be a fine young warrior, and rumor has it that he's an even better bowman than you are.
Gideon smiles, recognizing his friend's attempt to lighten the mood, and it does seem to work on the man. He then pulls a piece of fruit from his satchel and winks at Judah.
You think that's something, huh? Well, watch this. Malachi, pull!
Gideon tosses the piece of fruit high into the air. Without hesitation, Malachi pulls his bow from across his back and racks an arrow at eye-blurring speed. He looks up at the fruit in the air, takes aim, and fires off the arrow, all within split-second timing. The projectile pierces the fruit dead center as it tumbles out of the air. Judah laughs as he begins to slowly clap his hands in applause.
Well done, my boy.
Very good, young one. Always remember to lead your target and judge your wind speed.
Yes, Captain.
Oh, by the gods, Gideon. You really make him call you Captain?
Nope. That was his choice. He may be hot-headed, but he's a soldier through and through.
Judah stifles a chuckle as he rides ahead, catching up to Malachi.
That's some fine archery skills you have there, young man.
I thank you kindly, General.
You know, I was just telling your uncle that I think you'd get along very well with my son. He's not quite as good with a bow and arrow, but his footwork with a blade rivals even some of my finest soldiers.
This causes the young archer to smile slightly.
And how old is your son, General?
Judah looks out into the desert, then back at Malachi, his face beaming with pride.
He turns 15 tomorrow, and I promised him that I would be there to celebrate it.
Well, then we better pick up the pace, as I, too, am very anxious to meet him.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Judah says as he smiles ever wider. He taps the young man's back and proceeds to ride ahead, to once again lead the caravan from the front on the last leg of their journey before reaching the magnificent gates of Dan Tavish.